All right, what's happening, everybody? Good evening. Good evening. Good to see everybody checking in for day 3 of the challenge. Let me check something real quick here for a second. Sorry about that. Let me check something out. And all right, so we're good there. Give me just another quick second. And we'll get started here. There's something happened with the technology. All right. All right. So hopefully we're back on. Everything's back good. Welcome. Good evening. Glad that you are here. What's up, Jenny? What's happening, everybody? Thanks for being here for day 3 of the challenge. And today we are, I'm getting a notification here. So is everybody able to hear me? I just want to check and make sure, do a little sound check. All right. No sound. All right. Hold on one second. All right, so let's try this again. Is the sound back on now? Let me see. A little sound check, sound check. 1, 2, microphone check. Anybody let me know on Instagram, are we good? See, technology's trying to. All right, fantastic. All right, so we're back up. We're back good. Day 3, Facebook, we're good. TikTok, how are we doing? Everybody good on TikTok, making sure. What's up, Morgan? Good to see you. All right, so day 3, we're continuing on this challenge, the single slipper, day 3. On our first day, we talked about just the family. I mean, on our first day when we got together and we were talking, we were actually talking about our fears on day 1. We talked about our fears and what we could hold on to. Those fears as single people that we have that might keep us from thinking that we qualify to be in relationships. Some of those thoughts that we have that discount us sometimes from feeling as though we're good enough. Sometimes we have loss in our life. And I referenced in the story of Cinderella how both of her parents had died. And sometimes in our life, it's the things that have died, the hopes that have died, and the things that we look at that can create fears where we think, you know what, it might not be for me. Right? Love, this thing called love may not be for me. I might not be able to have love in my life. Every time I look around, there's something that's missing or something that doesn't work. And so we can develop these fears. We can actually develop lies that we begin to believe that can hinder us in life. And then yesterday we talked about family and friends, the community that we have around us, those that make an impact on our life and those that we impact. Those that are able to model something in front of us, people that we see or examples that we see for relationships. And these relationships create a blueprint in our life and they imprint us so that we kind of develop a thought about how relationships are. Sometimes in our family life, the way that we've been, that gives us some impressions on how we are, how we act and what we like and kind of the way that we're bent. I shared how I grew up in a family that we were big on accountability. And I needed to let my parents know I was going outside, who I was going to be with, what time I was going to be back. And I carried that through life to this day. I still operate that same way. If I'm going somewhere, I'm going to let somebody know. Why? For me, that's an area of safety. For me, that relates to someone being concerned, someone caring. And so for me, that's a common courtesy in a relationship. Now, I also mentioned that for someone else, that might be something that might seem like controlling. See, we have different lives. We don't all grow up in the same way with the same background. And so when we're going through life and we're living our lives and we have our different things, somebody else, they might not think the same way. It may be totally unnatural for somebody else to communicate that kind of information, to have accountability. But I also stated that would be a deal breaker for me. That would be something that would ruin a relationship, because accountability and having the opportunity to care is a big deal. See, I want that. I want to be able to care. I want to be able to say, okay, I know where she is. I know that she's safe. Okay. If something goes down in that area, I know how to get there, because guess what? I'm trying to be Superman in that moment. Like, no, I gotta go save my girl. But it applies to my children, anybody that I care about. If I'm in that opportunity, if I have that space and that opportunity to care for them, I want to know as much as I can, because if something goes down, I need to be able to get to my people. I need to be able to help. Right. So it's knowing ourselves. We talked about that yesterday, and really looking on the inside and evaluating the impressions and the imprints that have been made in our lives. Talked about studying ourselves, learning ourselves, so that we know how we are. Right. I said, hey, I know that I'm a physical touch guy. I know that I'm a quality time guy. Those are my two highest ranking love languages. These are things that I know about myself. And I talked about yesterday how we can actually create the playbook for someone being in a relationship with us when we know ourselves well. We can give someone and provide someone with the clues and the tips, so that we don't have to waste a lot of time in frustration. Right? Sometimes I don't know, there's this idea that someone should just figure us out. And while I believe that we are worth someone putting in effort to learn, I also think if I can give you the opportunity to have some shortcuts and you know which way to go, then you don't have to try to figure that part out. You can work on how you're going to deliver. Right? If you know I'm a physical touch guy, you could say, okay, now that I know he likes physical touch, I don't have to sit there and try to figure out, is he a words of affirmation guy? Is he a gifts guy? Is he a acts of service guy? No, I know he's a physical touch guy. So now what do you get to work on? All right, what are the ways that I can be creative with physical touch? You know, perhaps it's a walk by, rub his shoulder. Perhaps it's a snuggle up next to him on the couch. Whatever it may be, then there's opportunity for something else it's not for having to figure out that part. And so with that being said, today we are stepping into day 3. And this one I'm excited for, because this is a teaching that oftentimes when I share it, people are pretty surprised. And today is about focus, having focus, and the importance of focus as we are searching for and looking for and finding love in a world, finding real love in a world that can be pretty fake at times. So before we get going, let me just pray real quick. Father, thank you for this chance to be together with this amazing community, all these fantastic people. I pray that you would bless these moments and this session. In Jesus' name, amen. So focus, okay? We're going to talk about focus tonight. And there's a particular part of this story in Cinderella's life, that for me, when I was watching this movie, learning, because a woman in my community had said, I feel like Cinderella in my own home, which sent me off to learning this movie and studying this movie. There was a particular part in this movie that stood out to me. Yesterday, we talked about the community that she had around her, that family circle, her friends, those that were connected to her, and those same little critters, the same animals that she was around. They were the ones, when her life began to change in that garden, when she met the fairy godmother, who I looked at as the voice of wisdom, who came into her life and helped her start transforming her life. When she was getting ready for that ball, that magical moment where her life turns around and the animals, now the little mice become horses, and the dog becomes a coachman, and her little horse becomes a coachman, and the pumpkin even becomes a carriage. There's a moment of transformation where her life is impacting the lives of others. Because she's going to another level, those that were around her were going to another level. She wasn't in tattered clothes. She wasn't feeling broken and beaten. She was in a moment where her life had changed from everything that she lost, all of the loss, all of the disappointment, the things that had died. She was moving away from that, and she was moving into the moment where she says, I am going to the place that I dreamed about going. I'm getting to my dream. And I don't know about you, but this is exciting when you get a focus on a dream and you say, I am going toward my dream. I'm moving towards it. I'm going to actually reach it. I see it. I'm going there. Things are working for me. Things are starting to come together and I'm moving towards my dream. And so she's moving towards this dream. She had been invited to the ball. The prince, the king in the land, in this tiny kingdom, had said and made an announcement. We're going to have a ball. And so she's going to the ball. She's got everything together and she's moving toward the ball. And she gets to the ball and the carriage pulls up. She gets out. They let her out. And she starts walking up the steps and she's going into the castle. And there is this moment that, for me, it blew me away. And so she's walking in, having been invited to the ball by the prince, by the king, by the royal palace. They invited all the girls in the land. And as she's walking down the hallway, along the walls are all of these soldiers, all of these men, all of these attendants that are standing tall, standing firm up against the wall, and they're all standing there, and she walks past all of them. She goes in, she walks past all of them. Right? Let's just pause right there. We can hit the pause button on the movie right there. That right there was the picture of focus. That right there was the picture of a woman, of a person that was deciding not to settle. There were a lot of guys there. They were all lined up. But this girl, Cinderella, after everything that she had been through, she had lost some things in her life had died. She had had some things stripped away. She was in a moment of despair. She goes through this major transformation. Those that she was connected to, they were transformed because of what was happening for her. And she gets to the palace and she's presented with an opportunity. She could have been so excited to be away from the prison of her home and being out of the situation that she was once in, that she could have looked at any of those guys and stopped. She could have settled, and she could have looked at Jimmy on the wall and said, well, I know I was coming to see the prince, but there are so many girls here that I'll just stop and talk to him. But she didn't do that. She kept walking. She walked past all of them. She was single-mindedly focused on meeting one person. She said, I'm going to meet the prince. I'm going to the ball because I'm going to meet the prince. She had a dream, not only to go to the ball, but she had a dream to go to the ball and meet who she was going to meet. I'm going to meet the prince. I'm responding to the invitation of royalty. See, what I know about the prince, is a prince is actually a king. See, a prince doesn't remain a prince forever. A prince steps into kingship. So she had a mindset while she was living in this tiny kingdom that was peaceful and prosperous and rich in romance and tradition. This girl said, I'm going to meet this prince that will one day be king. I'm not worried about these other dudes. I'm not settling for them. I'm not stopping along the way to chit chat with them and, strike up conversation. No. Mm-mm. I'm single-mindedly focused on where I'm going. I'm single-mindedly focused on my dream. Here's my question for you tonight. Do you have a kingdom dream? Do you have a kingdom dream? A king dream? Are you single-mindedly focused on meeting the king? See, when we think about it, if we're in a kingdom and there's a king, that's that highest place. Are you single-mindedly focused on getting to that highest place? Are you not stopping to be concerned with all these other low life relationships, the ones that won't satisfy you, the ones that you aren't really looking for? Are you single-mindedly focused? See, that's not the conversation that we oftentimes have nowadays as individual people, as exclusives. That's what I call us, single people. We're exclusives. Right? Are we exclusive in our thinking? Are we, first of all, let's step back. Are we people that have actually created a vision that we want to focus on. And the reason I ask that, because the common answer would be, yeah, I have a vision. Okay, well, what is it? And then once you have your vision, are you so focused? Are you so determined? Are you so resolute that you are not going to squander the moments and minutes of your life by talking to others, by settling for others on your way to meet the king? She didn't stop and just, hey, talk to everybody on her way. She was like, you're not the king. I don't need, you're not the prince. I don't need to sit around and use my time, because time is precious. I don't need to use my time with you. How do we know that time is precious? We know the movie. If you've seen the movie, you know the movie. You know that she had a deadline. 12 o'clock, some things are they're going to shift. 12 o'clock. This opportunity is only going to last until 12 o'clock. So what she knew going into this moment, moving into this time in her life, what she knew was, I don't have a whole lot of time to waste. But sometimes we think we do, but we don't. Our life, all of our lives, are governed by time. We have moments of time that have been given to us, and this is why we don't have the time to waste. Do you know that if you are engaging with someone that does not meet your standards, the only thing that they are capable of doing is letting you down? Because they shouldn't even be in that area. They don't qualify. An unqualified person is only going to disappoint you because they don't really meet your standards, and you're just using them as filler. They're going to waste your time. They are going to slow you down on your pursuit while you are looking for and searching for the thing that you really desire in life. See, when we get into this area of focus, I want you to think about something. When that girl Cinderella was in her house, she was imprisoned in her own home. She was in a prison, basically locked up in her own house. From her room, there was a window. From her prison place, there was a window. Outside of that window, she could see the palace. So from her prison, she could see the palace. She always could have a palace perspective, even from her prison. So what she knew was this: where my life is right now, I'm not really stuck here, because I can look out of this window and I can see the palace. I see something greater. See, sometimes in our lives, we look at our lives and we look at our current situation, and we spend so much time doing this that we never pick up our head to have a vision. And so what happens is we think, okay, I'm here. I've been through some stuff. My life hasn't worked out the way that I desired. And so now we start discrediting ourselves. We start cursing this place where we stand, and nothing's going to work out for us because we don't have a perspective, a vision of something greater. And I believe whether or not you're in a relationship romantically with someone else, there are certain things that we need to resolve by ourselves in our single moments. Why? Because as a single person, you are one and you are complete and you are whole. But if you look at yourself and you don't think that you are, then you will always curse where you stand. And you'll be blinded to the possibilities. So what is the palace? For her, that palace place meant she was going to meet this prince that would become a king. But it doesn't have to be romantic. Your palace place does not have to be romantic. Perhaps where you stand right now, and I said this earlier this week, that in our singleness as an individual, we have full capacity to become everything that we are capable of being. If you desire to be a husband or a wife, you get to become that now, not when someone shows up. If you desire to be a business owner, you can become that now, not when somebody else shows up. This isn't a Jerry Maguire, you complete me type situation. This is I see that I have the capability of producing something, of becoming something. See, because I talk about this Cinderella thing a lot, I've had some women that were like, they were against it. They're like, I'm not trying to have a man come save the day. To which I had to show them there was no man that ever saved the day in this girl's story. There was no man that saved the day. She went through a process. No one came in to save the day for her. She went through some stuff, but while she was going through stuff, she did not give up hope. She did not quit on her dreams. There were some times that she was broken and she was beaten, but she still had some critters around her. She still was in an environment with some support that would help her and encourage her. She was open to meeting someone new even after the heartbreak and the pain. And that fairy godmother came in and said, hey, listen, I'm going to step in your life like a teacher. And I'm going to show you that these rags and the experiences that you've had and what has been torn away from you and what you were wearing that belonged to your mother. She said, listen, guess what? They took away what belonged to your mother. You had on your mother's garment. You were wearing your stepsister's pearls. You had on your stepsister's sash. See, when she got ready to go, all of that was stripped away. And I took that, when I look at it on another level, what that meant was the identity that you had in the past that was associated with so much pain, that had to be stripped away before she went to the palace. See, the prison of her home, the prison of that place, the pain of that place wasn't what she was going to take to her palace place. So while it got stripped away and while it did not feel good and while it broke her down because she thought for a moment all hope was lost, what she was really finding out when Wisdom, that fairy godmother, stepped onto the scene, she said, listen, what you have now is a new platform by which to create. And she does her thing. Alakazam, bippity boppity boop. Boom, she hits it, right? Transformation starts. How did the transformation start? Did it start from the top down? No. It started from the bottom up. And it circles around her feet first. Why? Because you'll walk out something. You'll begin walking out something. You'll begin taking action before it ever really fully. It takes a while to transform your mind, but there was a process from the ground up, and it starts. And you start by taking action. You start by going. You start by changing the way that you do some things. You're like, okay, I'm going to do something different. We got to lay a foundational level of change, and we can start with action, and it'll click. The women that I had in the gym, when in my gym, I trained the women. I mean, like soccer moms and older moms and younger moms and women of all ages. I trained them like athletes because I'm an athlete. They weren't used to that. They were used to doing the treadmill and 5-pound weights. And I said, listen, we have to do something different because you're stronger than what you think. And so I started introducing them to barbells and the big bumper plates and kettlebells. And every now and then we would have these challenges and max out days where they would try to lift as much as they could and they would find out. And I taught them. But before we got to maxing out, we laid a foundational level. We learned push-ups. They're like, I can't do any push-ups. Well, we're going to learn them. I can't do any pull-ups. We're going to learn them. Foundational movements. Why? Because what you build on will determine what happens. So often we have a faulty foundation, and then we try to build a relationship on a faulty self-image. We try to build relationships on a faulty sense of security. We try to build relationships on this false identity about what love is. And then we try to build a relationship on it. And what we're actually doing is, because the foundation is fractured, the foundation is unsure, we're actually building towards a great injury. And I would let the ladies know that. I would say, listen, if I don't help you with the foundational movements, forget all the weights for a second. If you can't sit down and stand up and keep good posture, if we can't find out about your squats without any weight, if I add weight to this situation, I'm going to actually be training you towards an injury. That's why so many relationships fail. Because so often we enter into relationships brokenhearted, desperate, unfulfilled, unfocused. And then we get into relationships, and then the weight of the relationship starts to get on us. The responsibilities and the weight of responsibility gets on us. And then what happens is, we're headed straight towards injury, because we didn't have a foundation that was sure. And so it started from the ground up, her transformation, ground up. By the time it gets to her mind and she knows that voice of wisdom gave her specific instructions, she said, hey, go and enjoy yourself. But at 12 o'clock, let me just tell you, some things are going to change. So go enjoy yourself, but be focused. Don't walk in there, feeling like you don't belong. You're not going in there with rags on. You're going in there fresh. You're going in there brand new. So go step into that place brand new. And so she was so focused. She didn't go in there desperate thinking, I just need to talk to somebody. If I could just meet somebody, because I don't have a lot of time. My biological clock is ticking. Time is ticking. I want to have a family. I thought I would have had a family by now, and time is ticking. I thought I would have had kids by now, and time is ticking. Let me just talk to some guy, because maybe maybe I can just get pregnant real quick and I can meet somebody, and then, time is running out. Time was running out. She had a limited amount of time. When she woke up that morning, the clock was ticking, and she said, oh, you killjoy, talking to the big clock that had been chiming. The same clock that was going to chime later on that night at 12. You killjoy. That's what she called it. Why? Because that was a reminder. That was a sound that time was giving her a restriction. But even with the restrictions of time, even with the voice of time ringing, she said, I'm not going to be desperate. I'm not settling for anything. Because I have a certain amount of time, I'm going to be focused. See, that's the difference. When we realize that we have a certain amount of time, so that's even more reason to be focused. Even more reason to get distracted. Right now, you wake up and I wake up in my day, and you wake up in your day, and we get to decide, what are we going to do with the dreams that we have? We talk about finding real love in a world that's so fake. Yes, we can scroll through all of the social media platforms. People are going to sell us stuff, fabulous lives and fabulous lies. And then they're going to be selling us stuff, and they're living this, and they're traveling here. And some people, I'm sure they are. Other people, they're buying props and bringing them in. Some people really look the way they look. Other people, we use a lot of filters, right? I always tell people, I'm like, listen, I'm not giving you a filter. This is the way I look. If you don't like the way I look, so what? I like the way I look. This is what I look like. Nothing wrong with filters. I mean, but my point is, you understand my point. People are living and portraying something. And you know what I call that? I call that portraying the dream, but living the nightmare. Because they are living a lie. There are people that are getting paid good money to live a lie in front of other people because they're selling something. They're selling the lie. So many people are in relationships and they portray the dream, but they are living the nightmare because there is no love, there is no intimacy, there is no connection, there's very little care, if any. But it looks good in a tabloid, but it's empty. Time. What are you going to do with it? What about your dream? Have you found out? Have you discovered that you love yourself enough to have focus on a dream? All right, so you want to get married. Do you love yourself enough to focus on being married right now as an individual, as a single person? Do you have books? Are you reading? Are you studying? Are you perhaps getting coaching? Right? Do you listen to marriage seminars? See, I'll give you a little insight. When I knew as a elementary school kid and middle school schooler that I wanted to be married, what I started to do, I started listening to marriage seminars. I started going into my parents' room, my dad's study, my mom's library, and I started taking their books on marriage. I would take their devotional books in their marriage devotionals and their marriage books. I would take them and then I would read them. I wanted to study. I listened to marriage seminars, not just single people seminars. I listened to marriage seminars because I wanted to know the conversation that married people were having about marriage. I wanted to know the struggles that married people have, because if I could get ahead of that, then I would be in a better position. And so as I was doing that, I started to develop myself. And so as I got older, at one point in life, I said, oh, I want to go, and I've told you this story before. I want to go and I'm going to become a massage therapist so that, yes, I can have a job, but I wanted to become a massage therapist so that I could touch my wife and be able to serve her with my hands. I wasn't real big on my wife needing to go out and have to have somebody else touch her in order for her to feel good. So I went and learned. Like, I took a year of my life, I took money, and I invested it in massage therapy school so that I could have skills in my hand that I could use to serve the woman that I had not met, but that I one day would marry. And so there it is. I have those skills in my hand. I have massage tables, I have massage oil, I have a massage chair. Listen, I can do the thing, right? I know how to do it, right? I know how to set the atmosphere. I know a little aromatherapy. I know trigger points. I know how to touch feet, right? I can massage her feet, right? I know about massaging her belly if she has cramps. Pregnant, prenatal massage, postnatal massage. I know how to trigger contractions by pressing on somebody's Achilles. Right? So I know some things. Scalp massages, play in hair. I know some things. Why? Because as an individual, I saw opportunities to prepare to be in relationship with someone else. That's our opportunity. As an individual person, you can show up every day and decide what your dream is going to cause you to do. You want to own a business? Well, become a business owner today. Start to read, start to study, start to watch videos, start to go to conferences, get in coaching, get some training. You don't become what you desire to become once you get there. You start becoming it now. Becoming is a process. That's why I believe as every person has the opportunity to become everything they're capable of being. But time matters. What you do with time matters. The question is, are you focused? Are you focused with your time? If you're, when is your 12 o'clock? That girl had a 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock, things are going to get different. In other words, opportunities of a lifetime must be seized in the lifetime of the opportunity. She had a window. If you're going to take advantage and capture your opportunities, you have to know your windows and say, now is my season. This is my time. Instead of looking at our single time, our individual time, this time that might feel like alone time, instead of looking at this time as though it is a curse, you get to see the blessing in it. This is your time. You can perhaps you stay up a little bit later. You get to get up a little bit earlier. You get to work with unbroken focus. Why? Because you don't have a spouse that says like, "Hey, come put in some quality time with me," or "Why don't we go on a date?" You don't even have to worry about all that. And I know, like sometimes you probably want to go out on a date. Sometimes you want to hang, but this is your time. You get to focus. You get to overcome your fears in this time. You get to solidify your confidence in this time. In that time, when that young girl walked into that palace and she started walking past those other guys that were aligned on the wall, you know what she knew in that moment? She knew that she was confident enough to walk past other opportunities. She knew. She was able to prove, I am so focused, I can walk past all of these other opportunities, regardless of how cute they are, how tall, dark, and handsome they are, whatever, I'm walking past them. That's not what I'm here for. And so we all can have our palace experience, but we have to know what it is. We have to at some point develop some type of focus. We have to have some kind of vision to focus on. That's why vision is so important. Back in her prison, in the house, she was able to look out the window and see a vision. And from that place of vision, she was able to operate. We're going to touch on that tomorrow. You're not going to miss it because there's some stuff, some real gems in tomorrow. But today we're talking focus. She was able to see something. This is your time. When you take some time, you look at your life. Start evaluating where you are putting time and for what reason. I'm going to encourage you to be selfish right now. I'm going to encourage you to focus on, if you can look at parts of your life and you say, this part of my life is not where I want it to be. That's an area that's calling for you to put some time because you have recognized you're not satisfied there. If you're not satisfied and you continue to live in that way, that means you're settling. This is not your time to settle. So ask yourself, if you have something in your heart, in your life that's tugging on you and calling for some attention, perhaps it's the way that you talk to yourself. Perhaps it's the way that when you look in the mirror, you give yourself a little, you give yourself that conversation that says, I don't really approve of you right now. Okay, I'm not going to tell you to continue crushing yourself there. I'm going to say, find a way to begin working and developing a healthy relationship with yourself in that particular area. See, here's what I know for sure. None of us want to be in relationships with people that crush us. Like, however, I go back to the girls in the gym. So the women in the gym, a lot of times they would be there, they'd be in the gym, right? They want to lose weight. I specialize in women, especially that want to lose 40 or more pounds, right? So some want to lose 50, some 100, some 5, right? But a lot of times they wanted to lose a significant amount of weight. And so with that significant amount of weight, there oftentimes was a criticism that they would call themselves names. They would insult themselves with names or disgusting looks or insults. To which I pointed out to them, you're not that great of a relationship partner to yourself. Because the way you talk to yourself is very unhealthy. And I would say, how would you feel if someone else used those same exact words to describe you and talk to you? How long would you want to stay in a relationship with them? Oftentimes it'd be like, not long. And I said, so just because you feel like you are with yourself and you have to be with yourself, you feel like you get to insult yourself. The energy of your life does not desire to be with you. Those insults, that stuff affects you. So now we have to change the focus. You have to stop looking at yourself as though you were unworthy. This is why you need a palace to focus on. See, when you have a palace to focus on, it changes your conversation. You no longer have prisoner conversations. You are no longer imprisoned to this place. You're not imprisoned to the pain of this place, but you have a palace perspective. Different conversation. See, when you know that you're going to the palace, you start talking differently. When you know I'm actually putting in effort to change my life, I don't have to crush myself. I can encourage myself where I'm going. The scale might say the same exact thing today, but my mindset about where I stand says where I stand is not where I will end up. Where I stand is where I'm starting. This isn't my end. And I'm willing to be selfish and change my focus and move that way. See, when I was in high school, I had a girlfriend. I really liked her. And then I was going to college. She was younger than me. I was going to college. She was still in high school. And I wanted to play professional baseball. And love is going to make you make a choice. And so while I was in college, I found out the requirements of college were much greater than the requirements of high school. And there came a time we had to have a hard conversation. And because I loved her, I told her, I said, listen, I'm not going to be able to give you the same time that I once did. I'm not going to be able to operate and be there for you like I once was. I want to play professional baseball. Only a few people get this chance. This is my moment. This is my time. I need to focus. I need to take extra swings. I need to take extra ground balls. I'm not that big. They already want you to be taller than me, bigger than me. I'm like, I have some things that are working against me. I have to do everything that the big guys have to do and then some. And then a lot of then some. And so I had to work harder in order to even try to level out the playing field. And so I said, listen, we can't right now. I can't have this relationship. I can't be in this relationship because I know I won't be good to you. And it would be unfair. See, sometimes you're going to have hard conversations because your focus says so. And you're aware of time. Sometimes you start telling your friends, hey, listen, I'm preparing. You might not say this, but in your mind, you'll be thinking, I'm preparing for my palace place. I need to focus. I see a business in my future. I see a book in my future. I see some musical scores in my future. I see a husband or a wife in my future. I see children in my future. There's some things I want to learn. Because when I get there, when I get to the palace, I want to be ready. I don't want to condition myself to settle. So I'm setting a standard by the way that I study. I'm setting a standard by the way that I prepare because I went through so much to get there. I don't want to squander the moment. That girl, Cinderella, she went through a lot to get to the palace. Mom dies. Dad dies. Her house is in disarray because the woman her dad married squanders everything. Her inheritance is gone. She's locked up in the house. Servant. She becomes a servant to her stepsisters and her stepmom. She gets tormented by a cat named Lucifer. All in this tiny kingdom. that was peaceful and prosperous and rich in romance and tradition. That was happening within the kingdom. She lived in this tiny kingdom that was peaceful and prosperous and rich in romance and tradition. And you know what her situation said? Girl, not for you. The kingdom is not like that for you. And so she's living a life that's contrary. But I think on the inside of her, because she had heard something and she had seen something, she experienced something, she said, I still have a perspective. I still have a vision for that palace. I still recognize that there's something still available for me. And so she had a dream. She would wake up singing with birds in her window. She had a different perspective. She was determined that her situation was not going to be the place where she lived and died. And so tonight, if we're looking for real love, if we're going to try to find real love, then we have to keep it real with ourselves. How focused are we on the dream? Like tonight is a dream night. Tonight is a great night. Why? Because we've moved past, we're moving past the hurt and pain. We're not going to focus on the pain and the loss and the hurt and what has died. Yes, some things have died. Some things have been stripped away. We're not going to focus. That's not what the focus is. No, the wand has already, cast a little magic around the feet and it's wrapping itself up around to her head. And she says, okay, well, now I have to start walking this thing out. I got to start moving. And the wisdom of that fairy godmother says, while you start moving, you're going to get into this coach and you're going to move to that palace. Guess what? I know your perspective. I know your mindset isn't totally switched yet. So I'm going to place some limitations on you. I'm not ready to just completely turn you loose just yet. So I'm going to put a cap on it and say, listen, at 12 o'clock, this needs to end. Because you've been through some things. This is why it's important who you have around you. You've been through some things. You've experienced some loss. You might get in there and you might just become drunk with intoxicated with the environment, how good it is. And you might forget your standards. So I need to put a cap on this. There needs to be a limit. There needs to be something that says, no, you need to leave. Because I don't need you in there meeting the king and hanging in all extra late. No. I need to establish a standard for you. She had somebody else establish a standard for her. Let me ask you, who's your gatekeeper? Who's gatekeeping for you? Who's the person? What's the environment? What's the group that you are around that says, hey, just holding you accountable that you're holding your standards? See, the fairy godmother set the standard. Boom, 12 o'clock. That's the standard. You don't get to hang out with the boy all late. I don't need you in there 2, 3 in the morning, still hanging out, trying to be the last girl standing, getting your groove on. No, get your butt out. 12, out. Get home. Get to the house. Fairy godmother said, get the step in. Right? She's like, you have to step. 12 o'clock, out. Because all this is over at 12. That was a standard. She was a gatekeeper. Back in the day, in our relationships, we used to have standards. We used to have gatekeepers. Give you an example. My first date that I ever went on had me a little friend, right? And so my family and I were going to go out, and I got to bring my friend with us. And where were we going? Chuck E. Cheese. We were going to Chuck E. Cheese, and I'm going to be able to bring my friend to Chuck E. Cheese. But there were some gatekeepers. See, my dad and my mom, they were gatekeepers. They said, if you want this young lady to go with us to Chuck E. Cheese, this is how you're going to do this. You need to go meet her father and talk to her father and ask her father, can she go with us? You need to let him know what time we're going, what time we're going to be back. So I wanted her to go. I walk over, I go to the house, I knock on the door, I go to speak to him. I go in because her dad was a gatekeeper. Her mom was a gatekeeper. So I go and I talk to him. He sits me down on the couch because we're going to Chuck E. Cheese. And I'm sitting there. And I start to talk to him. Mr. Davenport, can I take your daughter? Would it be okay if I take your daughter with myself and my family to Chuck E. Cheese? We would be going on at this time, on this day. We would be back at this time. Had to give him the whole rundown. Accountability. See, I learned something from my parents, then I had to put it into practice. The accountability. I said they were gatekeepers. They made sure that there was going to be a standard. This is what it's going to be. So what I'm used to is I'm used to there being a gatekeeper or a standard. And so many of us don't have that. We never had that. We never had someone that cared about us enough to say, hey, listen, before you go out with him, bring him here. Let me talk to him. Now, I'm a grown man. I was training in my facility grown women. Grown adult women, some of them older than me. And there was a standing agreement and understanding. If you're going out on a date with somebody, bring dude to the gym. Bring him to the gym. I want to meet him. I want to talk to him. Because you're my girls. Y'all my girls. So I want to meet him because I'm with you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every week. I'm with you. So and I know that you are on a path to change your life. You're developing your mindset. You're becoming healthy. I need you to bring him to the gym. Bring him to the gym. I want to meet him. Some of them did. Some of them didn't. And I call it my punch you in the face. Punch you in the face, conversation. So some of them would bring the guys. And I told them, other grown men, I'm like, all right, hey, man, you going out with such and such? All right, let me, I talk to him, have a conversation with them. And then I would let them know, hey, just so you know, she's on the track. She's changing her life. If you hurt her, I'll punch you in the face. I'll punch you in the face. I really will. Dead serious. Like I'll punch you in the face. And then they would go out and they would have their time. I was like, but don't let her come back like something all wrong. Because I'll punch you in the face for her. And guess what? This is the crazy part about this. People that I was training in a gym that had guys, they brought these guys to me. I would talk to them and I would tell them straight up in the parking lot, hey man, I will punch you in the face if you mess over her. They weren't related to me. They were women that were paying me to serve them, right? And so I was their guy. Some of them, we've been together now 6-7 years. One girl told me this week, she was like, Brian, I've been with you 7 years. You're the longest running relationship that I have with a man. I started as her trainer. I'm still in her life. So this is real, right? The connection is real. But my point is that these same girls, some of these same women have gone on to marry these guys and are having great relationships, great marriages. And I think it's pretty cool. And they each know that we had the conversation. Like, remember that time when I met Brian and he said, listen, I'll punch you in the face. I was the gatekeeper. See, I'm a gatekeeper. We need the gatekeepers for in the gatekeeper can be the person that says, here, I'm going to help you develop a standard. Because sometimes when you're coming out of a situation, when you have the pain and the hurt and things have been stripped away and you lose hope, sometimes it's easy to become desperate. And you're so glad to have something that you forget your standard. And somebody will take advantage. No. That's why you need a gatekeeper. That's why you need to hand your vision to somebody and say, hey, here's my vision. And then if you submit to being accountable, then you say, listen, when that person who is not all emotionally attached. See, I wasn't emotionally attached to those guys. I wasn't like, oh man, you're so cute. Oh, I'm so glad you're taking her. No. I was like, Here, let me ask you some hard questions. Let me find out where your mindset is. Because when I go out with these girls, we would go out once a month. We would have what we call First Fridays. And myself and all the ladies of the gym, we would go out to a restaurant and we would go out and eat and kind of a bar kind of situation. And I don't drink. And they'd be like, Brian, well, why don't you drink? Well, I can't drink. For one, I'm in this restaurant with all of you ladies, which means if something goes down, I need to be clear-minded in case somebody's getting out of hand with one of you. Very simple. I knew I don't drink anyway. Why? Because when I was in high school, I met a young lady who said her dad would, when he drank, he got out of control. And she asked me to promise her in high school that I would never drink. And I told her that I wouldn't. So I kept a promise from the time that I was in high school all the way through adulthood. So I don't drink. I didn't want to, but I didn't, because I made a promise in high school to a girl who said, I want to feel safe. Focus. Focus. Focus will always help you. When you decide that you are going to be focused, I was focused on wanting to be the greatest husband of all time, right? This is my focus. I want to be a great husband. I want to be MVP. When I stopped playing baseball, I didn't give up on my dreams. I just wanted to be a different type of MVP. I wanted to be the most valuable husband. I wanted to be that guy, right? Doesn't mean we don't fall short. We don't mess up. Sometimes we can lose focus. That happens in life too. I'm not married. I was married. I'm divorced now. Some things still went wrong. But guess what? You can lose focus and then you get it back. All right, I'm still going back to being focused. When you plant those seeds in your heart and you decide, I'm going to take care of them, I'm going to focus, I'm going to be accountable, life-changing stuff. See, I gave up. There was a time I wasn't doing any of this talking because I was too heartbroken. I had lost focus. I thought God had nothing that he wanted from my life. Thought God had quit on me. Thought God hated me. I thought I was useless. Lost focus. Those same women that I was serving in Cinderella Strong helped me get it back. That's what love will do. They gave me a chance, an opportunity to love on them. They loved on me. And guess what? Your life starts to heal. That's why the power of community is so strong. The power of one another is so strong. This is why when we have the opportunity to have relationships, we want to show up. We want to show up with a mindset that we are going to add to it, that we are going to be whole, and that as individuals, we are whole. We are one. That is complete. We're not lacking. So tonight, I would encourage you, grab a piece of paper, write down what you're focused on. Start sharing. Share with yourself what you're focused on. Who are your gatekeepers that help you be focused? Do you have any? You might not have a gatekeeper. And if you don't fret. It'll be all right. Let's get through this week because we're just going through the things to look for. You might not have gatekeepers. You might say, listen, I don't have anybody that will look out for me like that. I don't have anybody with a punch you in the face clause. Like, and guess what? Same for me. I want somebody that's like, look, I'm gonna bring somebody to my mom. Hey, I'll give you this quick story and then I'll shut it down. Again, that same young lady, right, that I broke up with when I got to college, when we first met, one of the first times we ever had time together, she drove. Like, my mom picked her up from school. She had never met my mom before. My mom picked her up from school and they drove an hour together in the car because I was in New Jersey. And she had an hour with my mom. That was on purpose. Because my mom is the gatekeeper. I know one person is going to look out for this man. It's going to be her. So she sat and she talked to her and, conversation. What's she like? Boom, boom, boom. And by the time they got there, my mom was like, she's good. She loves that girl to this day. Same, same. All of us have in the power of one another. That's why for me, creating that sisterhood, Cinderella Strong, has been so rewarding for me to watch women join together. Start to become gatekeepers for one another. Then the pandemic hit and things have now gone online. It's powerful to see people that care develop that with one another. And so do that tonight. Look at your focus. What are you focused on? What's your standard that keeps you? What's your standard? What are you willing to walk by? Who are you willing to walk by because you have a focus that says, I want something greater and I'm not settling because time is of the essence. And I want to use every bit of these moments in the place where I really want to be. Think about that. Every moment that you give away settling is a moment that you are robbing yourself of the experience that you truly desire. Perhaps some of us need to empty out our phones a little bit. Perhaps some of us need to stop answering certain calls because we know that person is not equipped and not even wanting to give us that experience and love that we know we want to have. Like if you want to be swept away in love, if you want, I told you I like Hallmark. If you want that Hallmark experience, which I think is fantastic, I'm like, that's wonderful. I love all that writing love notes and sending cards in the mail and, show up outside of your house with cards and, I like all that. That to me, that's fly. I like that. So if you want, whatever it is, your business, your dreams, back to school, go to school, whatever. Don't settle. Focus so that you can have what you're focusing on. And you know exactly which way to move. And so that your gatekeepers, those that are around you, those that will surround you. Because even if you don't have it now, I believe the time is coming. Because you're here. Let's just keep that in mind. You're here right now, which means you're probably in a position, in a place in your life where you're ready for something new. There's a saying that says, when the student is ready, the teacher will come. And so maybe this is your time. So thanks for being here tonight. Thank you for sharing in this moment, in this night of focus. This one is exciting. I enjoy this topic because it is life-changing. When we really lean into it and press into it, this is a life-changing topic. Your focus will change your life. So let me pray for you before we go. You don't have to believe what I believe, and that's fine, but let me just bless you with the prayer just because I do care. And this is what I do. So thank you for this day, Father, and this opportunity again to be with this amazing group. Each one of these amazing individuals that have purpose and talent, that have gifts, and that have a capacity to love and a capacity to be loved. Thank you for each one of them. Thank you for the blessings of their life. Thank you for the beauty of their life. Thank you for the brilliance of their life. Thank you for the possibilities. Thank you for the change from that place of prison, that place of pain, to the palace. Thank you for giving us a mind to have a perspective, something greater in life. I pray that today someone's heart would be encouraged, someone's life would be built up, someone's hope would just have a new measure poured inside of it, and so that their hope has grown. And I pray that they would lean in, that they would write down those notes, bring things to their mind, some hope, some vision, some dream. Please bless them with a vision and a dream for their life. Because without a dream, people perish. We don't want that. This group, these individuals, that person that is hearing my voice right now desires something greater. And I pray that you would bless them with a thought of something greater so that we can get moving and move towards it, so that we can walk it out, so we can put action to achieving that thing. Thank you in advance for what is going to happen because of these moments this week. I pray blessings upon each one as we go our separate ways. I pray that you would surround them and protect them with love, and pray that you would protect their minds and keep them from discouragement that may want to set in within even moments of being off this broadcast. Please protect them from that. I pray that you would bless the people that are here live, those that are watching on replay, all the same. And as we go, please keep us and bring us back at the appointed time. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. All right. Thank you so much for being a part of this session. You all are fantastic and tremendously encouraging. I appreciate you. Have a fantastic night. Take a few moments now. Don't let it just slip by. Take a few moments, jot a few things down so that you can develop that vision for your life, because there are some great things in store for you. Have a fantastic night. I'm B.A. Shepherd, 2 P's, A-R-D, reminding you to be a shepherd. The world has enough sheep. I love you much. Good night. Oh, and one more thing, because someone asked. This is available on replay on my YouTube channel, so you can catch it on YouTube if you wanted to watch it again. Someone said, "Is this being recorded? I would love to watch it." It'll be up on the YouTube channel for a few days, so you can see each one of the days on my YouTube channel. And my YouTube channel is my name, B.A. Shepherd, 2 P's, A-R-D. So you can catch it there and check it out for the next few days. All right. All right. Have a fantastic evening. Good night.